Our friends at Beer 52 are offering you a free case of incredible beers that you won't find anywhere else. All you have to do is go to beer52.com/TrueGeordie and cover the £5.95 postage to get your 10 unique beers delivered right to your door. Beer 52 are the UK's #1 beer club, showcasing the very best independent breweries across the UK and beyond. This month, they've collaborated with North England legends Northern Monk and a host of incredible breweries across the UK to develop 10 completely new exclusive beers. Now I'm going to try the Northern Monk and Rivington Brewery collaboration. This apparently is a beautiful, bold and full-bodied IPA, packing a bit of a punch at 7%. And if you're wondering how I know all that, got the magazine, didn't I? This little bad boy comes in the box, tells you everything you need to know. And actually, you can find out a lot more about the fantastic breweries featured in the case. You don't get that treatment down at your local supermarket, do you? Time to step it up a bit. Oh, that's nice, that. That is good. However, before I get a bit too crazy on this one, I do want to try one of the other ones. This one is chocolate and vanilla stout. It actually does smell lovely, that. It's alright, that. It's like a beer pudding, all into one. And you can get dark beer or light beer and great snacks when you order. And if by some miracle you don't like it, you can pause or cancel at any time. So the link's in the description below, or you can go to beer52.com/TrueGeordie to claim your free case now. That's beer52.com/TrueGeordie for your free case of beer now. Newcastle managed to pull back 3-1 down to win 4-3 against West Ham, and weirdly, an old memory of Alan Shearer scoring a hat-trick when we were 3-1 down against Leicester. He did it in the exact same minutes that we scored the 3 goals to come back in this game. On the exact same minute. Anyway, weird trivia.
Rooney's better though, isn't he?
Well, of course, yeah, that's what they tell me. But yeah, Newcastle showed something as we were dropping the bits. We had 3 injuries in a single game now in this one. We've just given Jamal Lascelles a new year contract extension. 6 to 9 months of that, he will be out with an ACL. That's the same ACL injury that Sven Botman just received surgery on. And Almiron goes off. Krath comes on as a sub, goes off injured. So it's. I think we're looking at a record in Premier League history of the most injuries we've ever seen.
Are you at a point yet where you're ready to start looking at the club's medical staff? Are you at a point yet?
I was there about 3-4.
Yeah, you've been questioning.
You know what's mad, right? I put it down in November, December. I was like, Champions League. It's got to be, because we're also playing, like, for example, this game, we played 10 minutes at a time at the end of the first half and about 12 minutes at a time at the end of the second half. So we probably, like, you know, God knows how much football we played in that game. So I thought it was partly that, partly the Champions League as well. It's now just a conspiracy, like, what's gone on?
Well, what about Eddie Howe? Do you look at Eddie Howe and go, is it your training methods? Are you managing the player? Like, do you look at the way he's managing any of those players and go, you're taking risks, you're doing something that isn't working?
I do worry, because one of our best games in the history of the club, in fact, came against PSG in the Champions League. Yep. We battered them. If you look at the starting lineup in that game, Pope started injured, Trippier injured, Lascelles injured, Shaw not injured, Livramento injured, Bruno Guimaraes not injured, Miley injured, Joelinton injured, Almiron injured, Gordon and Isak not injured. So, like, that's just even like our best 11. It's wrecked. Do you know what I mean?
You can't really blame a medical department for ACL injuries, though, can you?
No, but like, if we're looking at how many injuries we've had this season, we've had 21 players out, I believe.
That's only 2 of the 21 injuries. There's been plenty of other injuries. I mean, the mad thing about Newcastle, I feel like because obviously we lost to you boys in October, and back then I remember going into that game being like, God, Newcastle, that's a good team, that's a difficult place to go. You had the best defence in the league at one point. It's
all of last season.
You're a completely different team now. And obviously that's injuries. But, like, I've never seen a team go from what you were at the start of this year to what you are now. Now, I mean, West Ham fans want Moyes out for not finishing you boys off yesterday.
You know, it's a really funny one, because when Eddie took over, I think he inherited a squad that was so poor, and he obviously built it up so quickly. But then when a lot of those players get injured, the bare bones of it is still a Steve Bruce side. And that is patently obvious sometimes when we are relying on Sean Longstaff and Almiron and all these players. And it's brutal. And I'm really unsure as to what the fuck we're looking at in Newcastle. Like, before that game, I was genuinely thinking, if we don't win today, Eddie's really on the ropes because it's West Ham at home. And as much as I rate West Ham, our performances for too long have been shit and it's time to start stepping up. Yeah. And a 3-1 down, and as absolutely tragic as watching that defending was, I was like, I want to switch off. And I'm starting to not enjoy watching Newcastle play. And this has been for like the last few months. So when we started mounting this comeback, you're like, fuck me, like there is some fight. But we're relying on Anthony Gordon, Isak, Bruno Guimaraes, and now Harvey Bonds, who turned up in that game. But
he did well, yes.
He hasn't had a great season, but it's worrying because like two of those players in Bruno and Isak are very much going to be looked at by, especially Isak. I mean, every top big club right now needs a good striker, and he is clearly that guy.
Right, yeah. Don't do this to me, man. As an Arsenal fan, I watch Isak and I'm like, fuck me. I would take Eddie Nketiah out back and strip him myself to put that 14 shirt on Isak.
How much do you think Isak's worth, guys, out of interest?
Well,
in this climate,
80
to 100 easily.
He's £100 million striker. He's £100 million. I mean, you've got fans of clubs in Chelsea and Arsenal who need a striker right now. You boys, who do you rate above Isak right now?
I'd take him. I'd take him over Richarlison.
24 years
Definitely.
old.
I think a lot of people would say that Osimhen is like that kind of level. I'm not saying that they're one or the other. I think he's sort of similar level.
Mate, I look at Isak, who in an injury-plagued season has got 17 Premier League goals. If you're asking me, am I throwing £100 million at Osimhen, who's never stepped out of Italy and scored goals, who I watched him in the African Cup of Nations. Yeah, he's all right.
No, Osimhen's a £100 million player, bro. For sure.
He's a good player, but that's a gamble. You're looking at Isak, there's no gamble there. The only gamble is his hamstring.
How old is he?
24.
It's 24. Also not just the goal, like the all-round play from Isak. Like the assist, was it Harvey Barnes he assisted to?
Left foot, it was his weak foot.
That was a moment of magic there.
I will say he's responsible for the best assist I've ever seen, which is the one that I think it was for against Murphy, Everton, where he beat about 9 players on the dribble.
Ridiculous.
Mate, I'm watching that guy and I'm like, you are literally Thierry Henry reincarnated.
Who would you least rather sell then out of those two options?
I think
if it was Bruno and Isak, who would you least?
Because you need to, right? Before we ask this question, like for FFP, PRS, they have to lose someone by the 30th of June.
Without doubt, Isak would be the one I wouldn't want to lose.
Get rid of Guimaraes.
Yeah, and it's not. They both have a bit of growth to go through. But I feel like Isak is the one who I look at and like, you're guaranteed to go right at the very top. And I think Bruno could as well, but
it's your options as well, though, isn't it?
Bruno,
you've got Tonali there. I'm not calling him a like for like, but someday
is he ever coming back?
Yeah, well,
a few more months.
Tonali and Bruno are almost identical in how they want to play.
In what they want to do. Yeah. It's like when we were looking at it early on, we were thinking that's going to take a bit of work to get that cohesive, to get two players who, you know, we've used the example before, like Man United when they signed Mount and they already had Bruno. And when I look at them two, I think, well, if Bruno G was to go, potentially Tonali could push on, fill that void somewhat. If Isak goes, you got nothing.
We're fucked.
Because
Callum Wilson is finished. Like, he better be pushing that podcast because, bro, your legs have gone. and I don't get me wrong, I've been his biggest supporter. Like the amount of times I've sung his praise and go, he's one of the most underrated Premier League strikers in history. But the problem is his injury record is 50% of the time he's out. I'm not even joking, by the way. It's literally half the time you're not got him.
I'll tell you what, you could sell Bruno G and you still got, as you say, you got Tonali, Joelinton, you know, obviously your favourite Longstaff, Lewis Miley. But you got midfielders there. The thing is, if you sell Isak, you just got to buy a striker. And
you've got to buy two. Strikers are hard to come by as well.
They're hard to come by. And everyone on the market's going, well, you know what you're going to pay for our striker? Every pound that you receive for Isak, because we know you've got it in your pocket. You just get your pants pulled
Just
down.
Comparing the two, like you just said, with Bruno and Isak, like Isak just seems like a player that's like, he's always positive, it seems. He wants to go forward. He wants to score goals. Bruno does still have that little petulant side to him. Like you even saw it against West Ham. Him and Paqueta, they were just getting involved in silly scrap for no reason, rolling around.
House as well.
They're just really good mates though. They're like type of best men at each other's weddings.
Yeah.
And yet Paqueta is throwing himself on the ground, play acting, trying to get him booked and that. And I'm like, fucking hell, man. Do you know if you were
welcome to Brazil, bro.
I think you've got to admire it, to be honest. I think it's good.
They swapped shirts at the end. I'm like, I guess it's like a fight, right?
What did you think of the Anthony Gordon sending off? Because I just thought that was such a job's worth for referee decision. Like, no one on the other team's asking for it. It's the 94th minute. He's not going to go on and do anything and score anyway. The team's in it because Newcastle, and no offence, same with Chelsea, we're both in sort of nothing positions. Yep. There's not teams that are going to massively lose out because of the fact that Anthony Gordon didn't get sent off there. Like, I just thought it was such a job's worth decision to give him that second.
I was pissed off about that, and especially because he's actually now going to miss the Everton game, which is a big one. But to be honest with you, he doesn't play well against Everton ever.
Really?
I don't know why. Maybe this. I don't want to. I think I'm picking on him, but I think there's so much emotion around that game for him. And I remember Pickford for Everton against Newcastle suffers similarly. I just think the crowd is a bit much. So
you
maybe
could still do with him though, mate. Whether he plays well against them or not, you've got no one.
Mate, it's so annoying. But now Harvey Barnes has come back. Maybe he can slot in there and he get a bit of form. But I'll be honest, everyone. It's one of those weird feelings at the end of a game where everyone's celebrating. And I'm going, God, I've seen so much about this game that I fucking hated.
Right.
Like, everyone's celebrating, and I don't want to be the real world, but I'm religiously in the real world. I can't help it. Like, so much of this game was shit. Like, we got lucky to come back into it to a degree. Like, what are you doing? 3-1 down in this beginning of the second half. This is mental. Like, our defence, they're a fucking shit show.
Right. Can I just quickly say, we were talking about the Arsenal game, and you guys are going, oh, wouldn't you rather you'd entertained a bit? Wouldn't you rather this is what a fan who's in an entertaining game looks like.
That's what I was thinking. It was fucking horrible.
Look at him.
We came back. All right, but you know what? I seen so much to tell me, and this is what I almost, at the end of that game, I was like, I'm like, I'll put my house, we lose the next game.
But
we played 120 minutes of football. We got 3 injuries, a sending off in one game. This is World War III we've been through here.
I won, but at what cost? At what cost?
No, I thought we're definitely, this means nothing, because we're losing the next game guaranteed. And everyone, maybe I need to be more positive, because I had to, in the moment, go, Brian, your team just won 4-3, you were 3-1 down. Stop being a miserable twat and be happy. But so much of that, I'm like, Eddie, I've seen too many games where you've got no control, and I can't have a go at Ten Hag for doing that and not have a go at my own manager. But the problem is when I look at what's on the pitch, like me and my mates in the group chat were laughing like, God, can you believe how many championship footballers we've got playing for us today? Like, it's fucking mental.
So to stick you on the spot, Eddie Howe, where are you? Like, where are you on him? Because let's be honest, he overachieved to a point it was crazy last season, and actually maybe to his detriment. There's an argument that if you hadn't got Champions League this season, maybe you'd be in a better position now.
Agreed.
Where do you sit with Howe now? Going into next season, with you're going to have to sell probably Isak or Guimaraes. You're going to have to do
maybe both, by the way.
Maybe both. You're going to have to do a bit of a rebuild in the summer. Like you say, there's this insane disparity between top-level Champions League players and players like Isak, Guimaraes, I think Anthony Gordon, you could stick into that now. And then Dan Burn and Sean Longstaff, whose pals play in the Championship because they're that level. Where are you on the manager?
I was thinking about this in the car the other day. I'm driving around, and you're like this debating shit on your own. And I was like, I really like Eddie Howe as a person, and that's part of the problem. Like, when you really because we had the biggest idiot in football management in Steve Bruce, who could not get through a single press conference without saying something that you're like, my God. It's like I was on the train in first class, if you're wondering, and he's there, and I'm like, I don't even want to go over you and say hello. I don't admire you. I don't respect you. You're a bimbling oaf of a man who somehow wangled you into a job because you were willing to take less money than everyone else applying for it. And you're doing shit. So now we've got Eddie Howe, who does say he carries himself with respect. He doesn't drop his foot in it, and he does tend to say the right things a lot of the time.
And he's achieved huge things.
And he's given us memories. Oh my God, man. Like, he got us to Wembley. All right, we lost, but fuck me, that was a hell of an achievement for a team that have never been to Wembley in 20 years. We beat a team, we literally pushed the very best of the Champions League to the bitter end, to where the referee had to fucking stitch us up to get them PSG into the next round. So I've got a lot of love and admiration for him. But the problem is logically, there's a bit of me that goes, what's he won though? And I believe he can go on to win things. But when there's a manager on the market, like Jose Mourinho, who is Sir Bobby Robson's son in management terms, like, he's his son. He literally built him. You literally taught him everything he knew as a young man and told him about Newcastle and where he's from and Mr. Robson and all of this. And when Jose talks about him, there's a thing I'm like, could this be the fairy tale? And I am a romantic. I actually thought Francis Ngannou had a chance against Anthony Joshua, for Christ's sake. So there's a bit of me that thinks, Jose Mourinho, if we're talking about most winning managers in world football on the market right now, who's won more than Jose? Has anyone who's available right now?
Is it Carlo Ancelotti, I think?
Right.
He's up there,
so he's not available, is he?
Yeah.
He's
in Real Madrid.
So if there's an opportunity for Newcastle United to get Jose Mourinho in the way that our fans, even more than Chelsea fans, in my opinion, would fall in love with him, we'd be insane, right? I just think, is that an opportunity that we shouldn't take, we shouldn't miss? Because with Jose, all we want as a club, all I want for the rest of my life is one trophy. And if there's a manager out there who could give you that, it's probably Jose.
Yeah.
But does he build a squad?
No,
this is
absolutely not. Because you know what? I'm willing to take, right now I'm thinking,
take the punt.
And I was even the missus was asking us in the car, but wouldn't he leave it a wreck and a ruin? And I thought, yeah, but fuck it. I want a trophy, mate. I don't care if we get, we talk about that relegation Leicester City thing. I don't give a fuck. Like, you can destroy us. Just give us a fucking trophy and I'll actually be crazy.
Jose at Newcastle it would make sense.
Mate, if Jose was in your dugout at Wembley against Ten Hag's United last season,
we fucking kill them.
You walk away with a trophy. Have that line if you want, mate.
But you know what? They were there for the taking. They were flat that day. We were the better side. But the cutting edge, that's where an elite winner comes in. We see often the fine margins of when managers make a difference. And I just think that if he's available, I would take him over Eddie Howe right now. That being said, if he's not, we stick with Eddie and we kick on with him.
What about if he's still available in the summer? You finish about 9th in the table, hovering around where you are now.
That's the question.
I go for it. Because when you look at the level of experience that Mourinho has and the fact that he is a bit of a... People are looking at him like... They don't appreciate him anymore. No one rates him as highly. So for him to walk into an arena again and be treated like a god, which he would be. Think about how we treat Rafa Benitez, for Christ's sakes. Yeah. I'm not being funny, but Rafa, he did well for us. But by well, I mean mid-table, and he did it with shit players. Like, we would treat Jose like a...
Barring Chelsea... Definitely out of the clubs in England, that's the one he'd have the best rapport with the fan base. Even possibly now, including Chelsea, But if he was to come back now, do you know what I mean?
I look at Newcastle and where you are, and I think actually you're not in a too dissimilar position to where Spurs were when Mourinho went to Spurs, right? In terms of kind of just outside the top, he didn't really do it with Spurs. He didn't get them a trophy. He didn't get them into Champions League again, right? For in a way that they could build on and do repeatedly. Does that not worry you? Do you not look at what happened with Tottenham and go,
no? But in all fairness to him, he got us to a final and was sacked the week of the final. And didn't even get to finish the final. Remember that?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Remember that? And he put Ryan Mason in, who had never managed before in his life. That's what Daniel Levy does.
Now, insane. As an Arsenal fan, I do love Daniel Levy. I do. I love the decision.
That's because Levy didn't want to pay the bonuses, no?
No one to this day really knows. One weird thing about it, and I know we're not speaking about Spurs here, but one weird thing about it was literally the day or 2 days after the Super League. So I had a theory that it was like almost distracting because our fan base got angry with Levy and Spurs but included in the Super League. So then when the Jose thing happened the next day, no one was talking about that anymore and everyone was talking about the Jose thing.
The UFC are masters of it, like distraction. But I just think because of the Robson connection that the fans are very aware of, they'd take to him and they'd give him so much support.
Is there not a part of you that can just look at this season, take a little step back and go, well, what did I expect to happen if you told me that we were going to have that many days missed through injury? Like, I actually think you're in, I'm not saying best possible scenario for what has happened in terms of the entire squad being ravished, but I think you're towards the top end.
Yeah, where are you in the league?
Mate, you could be like 14th,
Where are you? Like 8th or something?
You're 8th.
8th. Okay, so I think, like Joey just said, with all those injuries to be 8th, I think it's pretty impressive.
I'm not really slagging Eddie off by any means. Like, to be only 5 points behind Manchester United when they have so many more big name players, they spend so much more money, and for people to be like, oh, Ten Hag's doing what Ten Hag's doing is a miracle because he's had so many injuries. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Shut up. Newcastle, to be 5 points adrift from them when we've had so many injuries and like a record Premier League amount of days missed is amazing. So I'm not saying I want rid of Eddie. What I'm saying is a manager like Jose Mourinho for a club like Newcastle is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that I think we'd be stupid to turn down.
It's not.
Do it for Sir Bobby
It's
Robson.
not a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It's a once every 2 seasons opportunity.
Because he gets sacked every 2 years.
Yeah, but here's the issue is timing, I believe, is a big deal in football. And right now, I just feel like it would be the perfect storm of where we've still got some good players that we brought in. Hopefully we can invest a bit more. We've had a really bad season. We'd have this almost elastic band effect and come back even stronger next season with hopefully no European football. I don't want European football. We haven't got the squad for it. That's clear as day. So,
is there a part of you, like when all this Saudi stuff happened, you suddenly got loads of money, was there a part of you that thought, right, we've got to do this fairly slowly, but we're the richest team in football now, so this is about building a project, this is about building things, whereas now, I know why you're laughing, because of this sort of, the financial stuff and the regulations, you probably can't do that. So is there a part...
We can't do anything.
But is there a part of you thinking now, well, why bother with a project? If we can't actually build properly, if the regulations mean we can't spend in the way we thought we could, is it almost better to look at it and go, well, we're probably not going to build to a point where we're competing with City, competing with Arsenal, competing with Liverpool, so let's just get a cup?
Exactly what I'm thinking of, mate, because unfortunately, it would appear that the Saudi owners of Newcastle are allowed to help out Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool, Spurs, Man United by buying all of their dead wood. We're allowed to help them. These are our owners. We're allowed to help the rest of them. We're just not allowed to help the fucking club that we own, apparently. Like, this is mental to me. And the fact that we're now the richest club in the world and we're looking at going, we're probably going to have to sell our 2 best players in order to make things work. This is insane to me. I didn't want to be Man City, but I wanted to do it like a way of building up to be an Arsenal or a Liverpool, to be competitive up there. Even then, if someone had said, well, you'll do what you did last season, you'll be hovering around 4th or whatever. Now it feels like we actually spent a lot of our money early and we're not able to do that, and now we've got to right the wrongs. I can only hope that all of these little sponsors coming in can help with that. But again, it's not a project. It's every season we better try and win something, and that's why Jose Mourinho for me makes.
Do you think that's what they want though? Do you think when the Saudi owners bought this, and obviously I know the financial fair plays were a bit different when they really went in, but do you think that is their goals, or do you think their goals was to build a Man City type project?
The goal is to win the Champions League. That is the 100% the goal. Amanda Staveley, she made no secret of that. She was like, we are going to take over everything, because guess what? That's what Saudi do. They took over golf, they took over F1, they took over boxing. So they weren't planning on being a bit pop player. The thing that they didn't expect is for the Premier League, the level of corruption to be so biased towards keeping the rich and everyone else in their place, sort of thing.
I think we do definitely need to not only have a look at the medical stuff though, because this injury thing's crazy. We need to look at like the nutritionists,
everything.
We need to look at all of them.
Insane.
The chef, everyone. Like we need to get to
this food.
We need to get to the bare bones of why there's so many injuries. Even the masseuses.
Yeah.
They're not massaging them properly after the game, bro.
Gordon, and the guy the physio runs on and he starts like yanking his knee and you're like, oh, fucking hell, mate. And you're like, what are you doing?
It looked like one of those Instagram videos of chiropractors where they just click people all the time. It's like they're trying to click.
I'll tell you what though, little cautionary tale here. Chelsea, since winning the Champions League, have been absolutely riddled with injuries. Like, it's been non-stop. Since that day we won the Champions League, it's been horrendous, right? Todd Boehly comes in, and actually this was music to my ears. I thought that's a good move, right? He comes in, he understands how bad our injuries have been, sacks the whole medical staff. He literally relinquished all of the medical staff, didn't he? I think 1 or 2 were left in jobs and pretty much everyone gone. Our injuries have been even worse this season.
What? Are you joking?
I swear to God, they've been even worse.
Well, it's good thing you got a massive squad there.
That's the Boehly effect. That is the Boehly effect, isn't it? Like, if you could write down what Todd Boehly does, it's spend loads of money and somehow make things worse. That should be.
I worry it's Eddie Howe's style though. Like, Eddie Howe has a running style, same as Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah.
And it was only a couple of years ago when Liverpool won the championship that they then next season the whole season was a right
rumbled,
because you run your players into the ground, and I do worry that we've done that as well. But just a final one around the table. Does anyone think if we did that, we'd live to regret it and that we'd wish we'd stuck with Eddie Howe?
I do. I think the grass is always a bit greener. And I think Jose, like you talked about it, his career is waning. He isn't sort of like, progressing in his career, winning trophies left, right and centre. Yes, he gets the finals, but he isn't, on the upward trajectory as much as he is. And I have to say, I know style of play isn't everything and winning trophies is, but Jose doesn't have a guaranteed chance of winning a trophy, and you still need to develop a squad. And the cautionary tale I'll say from us as Chelsea fans is sometimes his talent ID isn't very good, and also he's incredibly demanding of boards and owners. And in a scenario where you're going to have to be reliant on PSR and complying with all of the regulations that are coming forward, he's going to be incredibly demanding, and you're not going to be able to get the signings you want. And then he's going to go, by the way, I don't want to sell Isak, and I don't want to sell Guimaraes, and then you're still going to have to improve the squads. And so he's going to be incredibly demanding, way more demanding than Eddie Howe would be, by the way. And so there's going to be that sort of disconnect between the board in a way that you'll never experience with Eddie Howe.
Gamble, mate. It's definitely
a gamble.
You've put it so perfectly there, mate. And it's a gamble of, do we want to push this car to a point where it may, come off the tracks, or do we want to try and steady this with Steady Eddie?
People will people will laugh because of his track record of winning trophies, but if 2024, if the race starts now, I can't guarantee that Jose Mourinho finishes further than Eddie Howe. From this point going forward, I still always back Jose Mourinho once he gets to a final, even if it was him against Eddie Howe. I'm going to back Jose Mourinho there, but I'm just saying long term wise, especially a league as well. And if you were to relinquish Eddie Howe and bring Jose Mourinho in, there's no guarantee that an Eddie Howe doesn't then go to a Brighton if they get rid of De Zerbi and finish above Newcastle.
So true. Do you think amongst the Newcastle fan base, do you think the majority of people would say they want to stick with, even given that decision, it's Jose or Eddie? Do you think most people would stick with Eddie?
If I was to look at the season, I'd go, we had a great start. Everything that I thought was good about Eddie Howe football was still good. We hit the Champions League. We couldn't maintain the performances. Players started dropping like flies. Once we then went out of the Champions League, we lost a few too many games in the league. Heads went down. Performances dropped. Playing levels dropped. And I'm seeing a trajectory from Eddie Howe that's very worrying right now. And that's where I'm going, all right, a lot of this is bad luck. But once you lose the playing levels, it's hard to get them back. And that was what West Ham did for me, is make me go, fuck me. All right, maybe there's still some love left for Eddie in the players, but I'm worried.
Brian. I'm saying, if you're going to ask me, I'm saying roll the dice on Jose, man. These guys have gone with caution.
You've dealt with
I was the only person that still loved Jose, and I was fuming when he got sacked. Right? He actually brought the best out of Son and Kane. People tried to act like, oh, he's this defensive coach, which, he plays counter-attacking football. But if you looked at Kane and Son's stats under Jose Mourinho, they were ridiculous. They broke that combining thing in a season under Jose. That was under Jose Mourinho.
Strikers love Jose.
They love him. It's a myth. It's a myth that he can't score goals. I don't know where that all came from. I'm just saying, with Jose, what will happen is, those first 2 years, the fan base are going to come together. You'll get a new lease of life. It's exciting when Jose comes through the door. The players get excited and he starts giving those motivational speeches and all of this type of it. It will go tits up after 2-3 years. This is a guarantee. But look what he did at Roma. Roma were a down and out club, man. He got them a European trophy. He brought the whole fan base back together. He rejuvenated that whole club.
2 European finals.
He got that whole club back. I've watched people talk about it. Like that Roma, they were down in the dumps before Jose came.
Yeah.
And he reignited them. And he even has the pool of, like, Dybala comes. He has a pool of players still.
That's
even
actually a major thing. The players want to play.
He has
there's
pool.
a lot of players who wouldn't maybe know Eddie Howe's reputation. Everyone knows Jose.
Yeah, he has pull. I'm telling you, if you want a chance at a trophy, if that's what you're saying you want.
Yep.
I've got,
because look, like you said, he wins. Sorry, he wins that League Cup final, I think, against Den Haag.
But mate, I've got to say, as a rival fan, when you got Saudi, when the Saudi owners came in and Amanda, what's her name, kicked Steve Bruce out, right? I was watching this, I was like, oh my God, this is bad news. Newcastle are the next city. It's another super team. They're going to finish above Arsenal all the time. The fact that, less than 2 years down the line, you're talking about whether you want Jose Mourinho to come in and win you a League Cup. I know that, Roma were down and out before he came. Guess what Roma are on now? Down and out when he's left.
It's true.
They're not doing that bad.
They're not doing that bad, but no one at Roma is going, thank God.
Are they still in Europe?
No.
Yeah, they only Europa League got ill.
They knocked out Brighton, didn't they?
No one at Roma. No one at Roma is going, thank God for the good foundations that Jose Mourinho left at Roma. We are now.
But that is important. No, but that is important. Like, if we're talking about Newcastle and it potentially being a project, right? I don't care. I care what you say because you're a Newcastle fan and you care about sort of winning trophies more than anything, right? But I have to say this: I would want Newcastle as a club to progress, and I'd want them to win several trophies, right? If I was a Newcastle fan, I wouldn't just care about winning the odd League Cup or something. For me, it would be about generational improvement. And I think with the Saudis coming in, I'd want our squads to be sort of improved generally. And I wouldn't just take the Dybalas or like a big money signing. That is what Jose's going to want.
They're talking from privileged positions. They win trophies a lot. We don't win trophies a lot, so we really want trophies. You we can't understand it.
I'm at zero.
I understand it.
I've seen 0 trophies with black and white stripes on ever. It's terrifying.
You can't relate to that. You want a trophy.
You
I'm
wouldn't
in my
take
30s now, right? I'm thinking, fuck me, I'm halfway to that. Like, you know what I mean? If I don't see a fucking black and white trophy being lifted with Trippier,
you would not. So scenario, you would not take a League Cup and then the next season get rid.
No, you wouldn't. You
wouldn't take it. You would not.
You wouldn't take that.
You don't understand.
Maybe a FA Cup.
Maybe I would. That's the thing.
Maybe a FA Cup, but not a League Cup.
You don't understand.
League Cup.
I've never had that moment. Ever.
Not for League Cup, though, Brian. FA Cup, yeah.
Do you know what? I've already seen 2 or 3 relegations. What the fuck's another one? I want a fucking trophy.
Nah.
The problem is, 5 years ago, you go, you know what? Jose could come in and he could buy a load of expensive 31-year-olds and he could win a trophy. And then if it all goes up in flames and it all ends in tears, doesn't really matter because you can spend your way out of trouble. The problem now, because of the new financial regulations, and you know this, you can't spend your way out of trouble. If he saddles you with a load of expensive players on big contracts in the same way United have got now, right? If he just brings all these experienced players in, because that's exactly what he'll want to do. Lewis Miley, go find yourself a loan if Jose Mourinho comes in, because he's not playing 17-year-olds in central midfield.
Right? Is that fair?
I think it's fair.
No, he's not playing Lewis Miley. No.
If he's got the talent, why not?
He wouldn't play him.
Can I say something?
There is a bit of a myth about Jose and young players. Like, he does play young players here and there, but he doesn't improve.
Make them. He don't coach them enough.
He's going around Europe. He's buying some big fat journeymen who are 31 years old who want big contracts, and when it does go tits up, you're not going to be able to spend your way out of trouble because you're not going to be able to sell them, and you're not going to be able to buy new players because of the rules. So I think this is almost like a head and heart thing. And by the way, I don't have a head or a heart in this. I don't give a fuck.
Can I say something?
I'm loving it.
Can you two and me, can we just stop looking at this from his perspective? Just as football fans, wouldn't we want Jose in the Premier League anyway?
100%.
Wouldn't we just want him in the league?
And also that first home game,
Eddie is not box office.
That first home game at St James's Park would be electric.
Can I answer this? Really
We're losing
quickly?
Klopp, so we need a box office manager to kind of come in and replace.
Do you know why I don't want Jose in the Premier League? Because I want him at England.
That's not.
I don't know if he's going to take.
Graham Potter's going to go England, man.
Yeah,
Jose comes to the Premier League. We can have Eddie Howe at England. He'll preach.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
one more thing I will say. By the way, if Eddie Howe does leave Newcastle, he'll have a lot of offers on the table.
I think he's a really good manager.
I'd have him right now.
Where would he go next? Like,
he could go to Chelsea.
I think he'd go to Liverpool.
Chelsea.
You take him at Chelsea over Poch?
Yes.
Fairs.
Yeah.
He's a good manager.
He is a good manager. He's a good manager.
Here's the problem, and this is the problem that Jose would have. He's managing a lot of shit players right now, and a handful of really good players. And that's why our performances are as bipolar as they are. They're fucking, like, even that first half to that second half, it's not even, comparable. It's like 2 different sides. So
if you're going to lose Isak, you want a manager that has pull to bring players in, though. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah,
he has pull.
You also want talent ID, though. You want pull and you want talent ID. You can't just.
Do you think Jose's
go out and sign? Then leave that. No.
The scouts and the directors of football.
Yeah, but he's very insistent.
But Jose
you know what Jose's like.
Jose doesn't leave it to anyone.
Jose wants it. The play he wants.
Right.
Jose brings in Morata.
Yeah, he does.
Mate.
Hey, Morata's got stats.
Higuain on a loan.
Eddie Howe has been pretty diplomatic. There's clearly some players that were brought in. I'm thinking of, Lewis
Hall.
Right. Now,
he actually played well yesterday.
Yeah, and he did. But I think Howe, it's clearly one that Howe doesn't really fancy, but he's been pretty diplomatic. And I think you have to be fair to Eddie Howe. The Dan Ashworth thing clearly didn't work for him. Right? Now, Ashworth is probably going to go this summer. He'll get replaced by someone else. I'd be looking at it and going, let him have a chance with a director of football that he's going to work with, that's going to bring in players he wants. Mate, you bring Jose Mourinho, a player he doesn't want, you know about it.
Yeah, 100%.
There's no diplomacy there.
That's not even happening, is it?
No. So, yeah, it's...
Okay, around the table, if you're Newcastle, Do you stick with Howe or do you go with Jose?
Stick with Howe.
Stick with Howe.
Roll the dice, man. Go for Jose.
I would stick with Howe, but I completely understand why you want Jose.
If in an ideal world, it's a lot like, right? You kind of. You've got a real decent woman. Do you know what I mean? She's not the best looking.
I knew where you were going.
But then you've got this hot Portuguese girl who isn't quite as hot she used to be, and now showing you a bit of attention.
Yeah.
You're like, maybe you are in my league.
But she's done some filthy things.
Oh,
in the
she's
past.
a whore.
We always go to these.
She is. She's been everywhere, but now you get to go there,
And
right?
you can have one night.
Can I change my answer?
All right. Well, let us know in the comments what you would do.